What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over DC Rebirth Cyborg, where, of course, we actually do pick up with the next storyline known as Danger in Detroit. Now, with this storyline right here, it is basically about Cyborg right now being on the run. Because remember, at the end of our last video, Cyborg found out that his father was kidnapped. And matter of fact, the person he has been hanging out with, who he had believed to be his father, was not his father. Instead, it was a guy known as Anomaly. Now, Anomaly is a brand new bad guy who wants revenge against Cyborg's father, Silas Stone. And Silas Stone have basically created Anomaly because when it came to Cyborg's mother and also Silas Stone's wife, Silas was trying to find a cure for cancer for his wife. And so he created robot clones of himself to basically test different kinds of chemicals that he thought could be the cure for cancer. Of course, one of those clones was Anomaly. Now, when Cyborg's father, Silas, thought he got rid of all his clones, well, that one clone came back to get revenge against Cyborg and also Silas Stone. And that person is Anomaly. And so Anomaly has basically taken over Star Labs and has everybody in Star Labs believing that he is Silas Stone. And while Silas Stone is technically being held at a different facility, Cyborg is on the run because right now there is a virus that was given to him by Anomaly that's destroying his entire system. And so Cyborg has to do two things: stay on the run, but also hopefully beat the different kinds of viruses that was given to him by Anomaly. So here is Danger in Detroit, the next storyline in Cyborg DC Rebirth. Now, the opening page of this storyline actually picks up with a news channel talking about Cyborg. And right now, there have been reports that Cyborg has gone crazy, that Cyborg has attacked Star Labs. And on top of that, Cyborg is on the run. Now, of course, you're wondering, okay, if Cyborg is on the run and the news channel is constantly talking bad about Cyborg, where is the Justice League? Because at this point in DC Comics, Cyborg was part of the Justice League. And that's the moment you have the news tell us that the Justice League is right now off planet. They're somewhere else dealing with something big. And so, of course, it's the perfect time for Cyborg to be on the run and not have to deal with Superman, Batman, or Aquaman. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Xenophon. Now, Xenophon is a character that was given to us in our last video, and he's known as being one of the best tech people in Detroit. Now, with that being said, he was the one that helped Cyborg escape Star Labs. And so right now is him coming back to Cyborg's hideout because he was going around stealing tech in Detroit to help Cyborg beat the viruses that are inside Cyborg's body. Now, with that being said, though, of course, he was followed. And he was followed by a character known as Black Narcissus. Now, Black Narcissus is a brand new character that was made for Cyborg Comics to give Cyborg more characters. Now, with that being said, Black Narcissus is kind of like a vigilante for Detroit. And so she's trying to protect the city, and she heard that somebody was going around stealing tech from different tech companies in Detroit. And so, of course, she stepped in. Now, we're going to learn more about this character down the road, but for now, that's all you need to know. Now, with that being said, once she actually does stop Xenophon, she's able to realize who he is, because Xenophon is somewhat famous in Detroit as being that tech guy who does a few bad things with tech in the city. Now, with that being said, though, that's also the moment that she realized that something is wrong with Cyborg because he is in some serious pain. And so, of course, she's kind of like, what in the world is going on right now? Because she saw the news report. The news report said that Cyborg is on the run. Cyborg is dangerous right now. The public has been warned to stay away from Cyborg. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Anomaly talking to Celia Stone through a computer screen. Now, remember, Anomaly is our current bad guy of this series. And with that being said, right now, he's talking to Celia Stone through a computer screen about his master plan. Now, you would think that we are about to get the master plan told to us. Well, we're not. Instead, what you have Anomaly tell us is that apparently somebody has been talking to Anomaly in his head. And of course, this voice that he is hearing in his head is telling him what to do step by step. And that right there is very huge because it seems like somebody is somewhat controlling Anomaly. But either way, you do have Anomaly tell us that his master plan does involve bringing in some better technology to the world. Now, that's the first thing we hear about his master plan. There's more to come down the road. Now, with that being said, we are then reminded about Variant. Now, remember, Variant is the female version of Cyborg that was given to us in our last video. Now, she was made because the American government wanted to bring her back to life because she was a CIA agent and she may have known a lot of different dark secrets that could have helped America out. And matter of fact, she did. But America had another mother box to be used to create another cyborg character. Hint, hint, that was Variant. Now, Variant was shut down because she was kind of like a bad guy for a brief moment and then she turned good again. But because she was a bad guy, the American government had her shut off, which worked out for Anomaly because now he is going to try to absorb her alien tech, which is technically the mother box that was given to her by American government, and try to use the alien technology to achieve his master plans. But here comes the problem though. When he tries to use the alien technology, there is some kind of backfire, which of course sends him back flying. Now, you do have some scientists run into the room to actually check up on Anomaly because you have to remember, right now, everybody else in Star Labs, they believe that Anomaly is actually Celia Stone. On top of that, they believe that there is something really wrong with Cyborg because, again, Cyborg is on the run. Now, of course, they do want to know what in the world was going on in this room. And, of course, you do have Anomaly pretending to be Celia Stone and say that he was trying to do some kind of experiment on Variant. It backfired and he got a tad bit hurt. And so he does leave the room to go get checked up on in the medical room. Now, Sarah stays behind. And remember, Sarah is a very important character. And the reason why? Because Sarah was the young lady who was technically dating Cyborg before he became Cyborg. The problem was Cyborg does not remember that because his father, the real Celia Stone, kind of deleted or shut down certain memories in the mind of Cyborg when Victor was becoming Cyborg. Now, with that being said, when Anomaly, who is pretending to be Celia Stone, leave the room, Sarah stays behind to check up on Variant. And when she does, you have Variant say, "You cannot lose the fight. You have to watch out for Celia Stone. You are in grave danger." And basically, you have Variant just turn back off again. And that right there tells Sarah something is wrong if Variant came online and said, "Hey, you need to watch out for Celia Stone. Something is wrong with him." And then she dies again. That tells Sarah something is really going on here. You get a page that tells us that you have Black Narcissus going to help out Cyborg and Xenophone steal some more tech as a way to actually help Cyborg defeat the viruses that are in his body. Now, with that being said, this is not her saying, you know what, you're Cyborg, you're on the Justice League, I know you're a good guy. Instead, she's kind of like, the news has been saying that you have gone crazy, that you are wild and you are dangerous. Even if you're telling me everything that is going on in your life right now, I still do not completely trust you, which she has the right to do, but she's still going to help out Cyborg to get some more tech as a way to actually help him get better. Now that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Anomaly, and right now you have Anomaly still pretending to be Elias Stone. Now, of course, he's being forced in bed because every single member of Star Labs still believes that Anomaly is Elias Stone. And because Anomaly did have a bad incident earlier in the storyline, they're telling him to rest up. Now, as soon as that random scientist leaves, that is the moment you have Anomaly begin to hear the voices in his head again. Except this time much clearer, because you actually do have the voice in his head saying that because he absorbed a small part of variant technology, that now he'll be able to actually communicate better with this voice in his head. But either way, you do have the voice in his head tell him his next goal, and his next goal is to find Cyborg. Now that is the moment where we actually do pick up with a character known as Rizzo Radaman. Yes, you heard that right, Rizzo Radaman. And Rizzo Radaman is apparently somebody who had trained a bunch of rats to help him distribute drugs across Detroit. Which honestly, it sounds disgusting, but at the same time it's kind of like, I guess that's a different way to get the drugs out in Detroit. But either way, that is the moment you have Rizzo Radaman actually be confronted by Anomaly, and this is Anomaly recruiting Rizzo Radaman as a way to help him find Cyborg, because remember, Rizzo Radaman is able to train rats to not sell drugs, but to distribute drugs across Detroit. So why not use the rats as a way to find Cyborg? And of course, that is Anomaly's master plan for the character known as Rizzo Radaman. Now, we do jump over to Cyborg, and right now we see Cyborg with Xenophone and also Black Narcissus as they're basically using some of the tech that she has stole as a way to actually help Cyborg get better. But while they're working on Cyborg, well, of course, that is the moment they do get attacked by a bunch of rats. Yes, no lie, this is Cyborg versus rats. And honestly, I should call the video this right here. Cyborg versus an army of rats. Like, that title right there sounds crazy enough. But of course, you do have Cyborg being attacked by a small army of rats, which of course we know is being controlled by Rizzo Radaman. But either way, this army of rats are doing some damage. And so you have Cyborg tell Black Narcissus to get out of here, but to also take Xenophone with her so that nothing happens to him. Because remember, Xenophone has no powers at all. Yes, he's great with tech, but that's really it. And so, of course, she leaves with him, leaving Cyborg alone to fight against an army of rats, which, of course, begins the process of him being overrun. Now, getting into the second chapter of this storyline, basically Cyborg loses against the army of rats. Yes, you heard that right. Cyborg cannot fight against the army of rats. Now, the reason why Cyborg can't win against them is because basically Cyborg's systems are not fully functional at the moment, thanks to all the different viruses that Anomaly have put into Cyborg's body. Now, Cyborg realized he does have a way to escape, and that way to escape is to basically use a boom tube. Now, remember, Boom Tube is an ability only Cyborg has, and I guess variant as well, but for the time being, only Cyborg. And basically, a Boom Tube is what Cyborg can use to teleport almost anywhere he needs to teleport to. Now, the reason why only Cyborg has that ability is because when Cyborg was created, of course, Star Labs used something called a Mother Box. Now, a Mother Box was a way for the forces of Darkseid to invade the Earth. They used the Mother Box as a way to teleport to Earth to invade the Earth. And a Mother Box was used to kind of help make Cyborg. And so with that being said, Cyborg being part Mother Box or having parts of a Mother Box gives him the ability to teleport. The problem is though, when Cyborg tries to use it, of course, it doesn't work properly because thanks to the viruses, thanks to Anomaly, Cyborg can't just teleport anywhere he wants to. And so of course he's just flowing through different universes, dimensions, whatever. He's having a hard time just getting back to Earth. He's just traveling through all these different kinds of dimensions and different kinds of areas in the DC multiverse. Now, there is a page that is actually very important because while Cyborg is teleporting through the different dimensions, he does run into a dark version of himself. Now, of course, he does fight against this dark version of himself, and he's able to cut off the arm of this dark version of himself. Now, of course, Cyborg does not understand why he's seeing a dark version of himself, but actually this is going to be important for later videos down the road that we are going to do. Now, once Cyborg is able to kind of concentrate and get out of the Boom Tube teleportation system he's going through at the moment, you have Cyborg actually end up in a video game. Yeah, you heard that right. Cyborg is literally and officially going digital. And for some reason, my mind reminded me of a T-Pain song I heard a long time ago called Digital. But either way, though, Cyborg has gone digital. And of course, when he arrives in this video game, he is attacked by a lot of different video game characters. And so, of course, Cyborg has to use the weapons he has access to actually defend himself against these waves of different kind of creatures that are inside this video game. Now, of course, once he's able to actually defend himself, that is the moment he realizes where he's at. He can't believe where he's at. Like he actually knows this actual video game world. And the reason why he remembers this world is because it's a world that Cyborg had created. Yes, you heard that right. Cyborg actually created this video game a long time ago with his best friend Kiji. And I want to say his name is Kiji. Please forgive me if I mispronounce it. Now, you have to remember, this is actually possible because Cyborg was a very smart child. Now, Cyborg tells us that after he made this game, him and his friend Kiji basically used passcodes from Star Labs as a way to give Star Labs a virus. And that virus was just Cyborg's video game that he created when he was a teenager, appearing on all the different screens in Star Labs. And of course, his father was mad and his father grounded him for 3 months. But that is all Cyborg can remember. And this makes sense because you have to remember, Cyborg cannot remember everything because when Cyborg was turning into Cyborg, his father shut down certain memories to kind of help with the process of changing. And so with Cyborg being unable to actually remember everything he went through after that moment right there, well, that is the moment you actually have Cyborg be attacked by another human being, which seems to be trapped inside this video game. And of course, the person who's trapped inside this video game is Kiji himself. Yes, you heard that right. Kiji is also in this game. And the question is, though, how in the world did Cyborg's old friend get inside this video game? Because remember, this whole friendship actually took place before Victor Stone became Cyborg. And so with that being said, you actually have Kiji attacking Cyborg. Now this is Kiji telling us that he's coming after Cyborg for revenge. And the problem is, though, Cyborg doesn't know why in the world Kiji wants to come after him for. Because again, Cyborg does not remember everything because his father has shut down certain memories. And so with those memories being shut down, Cyborg does not understand why in the world Kiji wants to kill him. And Kiji is trying his best by using all the different video game creatures as a way to actually kill Cyborg. Now, this is the moment where we actually do learn what happened to Kenshi. Like, how in the world did he access this video game world? What led him to get inside this world? And that is the moment we come to find out that basically after Cyborg and Kiji did their little virus attack on Star Labs, Kiji kept the password codes that Victor gave him to access Star Labs computers. And Kiji used those passcodes as a way to access more secret files of Star Labs. And those files were given out to the dark web. And of course, we all know the dark web is not a good place at all. Now, with that being said, though, with the dark web, a lot of people were able to use the information from Star Labs on the dark web to create a lot of bad weapons. And when, of course, Star Labs was able to trace the leak, they traced the leak right back to Kiji, and of course, he was locked up. Now, he wasn't locked up in prison because he was a minor, but he was sent away in some kind of like facility to kind of help children fight different kinds of addiction. And for Kiji, his addiction was video games or computer stuff. And so, of course, he was sent away to kind of fight that quote unquote addiction. But that made things even worse because once he was able to actually access a video game, he was able to use his skills of tech to kind of open up a portal to the video game world that him and Victor created, and he basically walked through that portal. And so that is how he ended up in this world. And so, of course, their fight does continue. Now, while Cyborg is fighting against Kiji, you do have Cyborg try to boom tube away to hopefully escape this video game world. The problem is, though, when Cyborg does boom tube back into Detroit, he also brings Kiji with him as well. And so, of course, their battle does continue even on the real world in Detroit. And of course, this is a bad thing because all the powers Kiji has is still there. And so Kiji's just going around using his powers like it's no big deal and causing a lot of problems for Cyborg and of course the city of Detroit. But you then have Cyborg basically open up another boom tube as a way to take Kenshi right back into the video game world, where of course they do continue to fight against one another. But while they're fighting against one another, that is the moment you have Cyborg actually realize if he helped create this world, this video game, then Cyborg should know how to actually use this video game world to fight against Kenshi. Now, this is how the chapter really ends. It is kind of a messed up chapter, and honestly, I feel like it's kind of pointless, but at the same time, it's very sad. Because once you have Cyborg actually know how to shut down the video game world because he helped create the video game world, that is the moment we come to find out that Kichi, the character he has been fighting in this video game, is not even real at all. This is a fake version of Kiji. The real Kiji actually died in prison. He was beaten to death by other juvies in that facility. But right before the real Kiji died, the real Kiji created this fake Kiji. But the problem is now even the fake Kiji is dying as well. Because when Cyborg does use his programs he remember to shut down the video game, of course that also shuts down this Kiji forever. He's gone. And so Cyborg basically erased the last version or last thing to remember his friend by. And so you have Cyborg boom tube out of the video game world to hopefully go back into the real world. Now, getting into the third chapter, we actually do pick up with Anomaly doing a test on Rizzo Radaman. Now, remember, Rizzo Radaman was the guy who could basically control the rats in Detroit as a way to distribute drugs across Detroit. Now, with that being said, we see Anomaly doing a test on Rizzo. And what Anomaly is doing is testing out the OTAC cell. Now, remember, the OTAC cell was Celia Stone's project in the past, and of course it was an experiment where Celia Stone was trying to create a cybernetic cell that can go in someone's body to help them fight against different kinds of disease, because that cell will be able to manipulate other cells and to become something as a way to fight against different kinds of diseases. It was kind of a way for him to find a way to cure cancer. Now, the reason why I'm bringing it up right now, because you have Anomaly using the same OTAC cell experiment on Rizzo to have Rizzo become a cybernetic person. Is now Anomaly using that same experiment for his own plan, which is to get rid of the human race and rise up a race of robots or cybernetic beings. And so right now he's using the OTAC experiment to turn Rizzo into something else. Now, that is the moment where you actually do have Cyborg still trying to Ubuntu back into the real world. And of course, it's still a struggle for him because all the different viruses that he had received from Anomaly and also fighting against Kichi earlier, his systems are still not fully repaired yet. And so with that, he's just trying to Ubuntu back to Detroit. Now, he's actually able to Ubuntu right back to Detroit. The problem is, though, when he does arrive back into the real world, it has been 6 months since he left at the end of our first chapter, possibly the end of our second chapter, but it has been 6 months. And so Cyborg now needs to find out if basically Anomaly have been doing different things in Detroit to kind of destroy the city, but to also figure out what Anomaly is actually up to. Now, the next section is basically Cyborg right now attending some kind of lecture. Now, this lecture is basically talking about singularity. Now, singularity is actually a very interesting topic, but I'm not going to sit down here and have a whole conversation with you guys about singularity. And matter of fact, that's a topic I would love to have with you guys, maybe on like a live stream or something. But either way, a singularity for this guy who's right now giving the lecture is basically talking about the idea of the combination of genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics all coming together. Now, we could say technically that's Cyborg right there. His genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics all in one thing. But the reason why the guy is talking about this because he's saying there could be a time where all three things could come together, and that could basically change the human race completely. Now, of course, right after Cyborg leaves the lecture, that is the moment he sees a poster that is talking about Xenophon, which tells us that Xenophon has become some popular social media DJ whatever. But now Cyborg knows where he can find Xenophon at. And so Cyborg's next goal is to find Xenophon and go to his next show. Now, that is the moment we do see Xenophon giving out his next big, huge show to a big crowd. Now, while he's out there being a DJ for this crowd, there is a rat out in the crowd. Now, this rat actually belongs to Rizzo. But remember, Rizzo's right now being controlled by Anomaly. But we come to find out Anomaly had turned all the rats that had belonged to Rizzo into robotic rats. And so these rats are on lookout. And of course they're on lookout for Cyborg. Because remember, the voice in his head told him he needs to find Cyborg. And so the last 6 months, he has been trying to find Cyborg, which he was able to do because Cyborg came to Xenophon's show and Cyborg's in the crowd. And because Cyborg is in the crowd, the rat was all like, bam, found him, tell Anomaly now, Cyborg is here in the crowd right now. Now, you do have Cyborg basically go backstage to actually talk to Xenophon. Now, here's the thing though. When Cyborg does go backstage, he's actually upset with Xenophon. And the reason why, because he told Xenophon to stay low, to lay low. Because, of course, Anomaly has eyes everywhere. He needs to lay low. But the problem is, though, you have Xenophon say, you don't realize, Cyborg, you disappeared for 6 months. You were gone. I had to do something as a way to make money. And so, of course, it led to me doing underground shows. And so I had no choice. And I'm still laying low because all my shows are underground, meaning that they're not really being played all over the world like that. There's no way Anomaly can find me. Now, you do have Xenophon go back out on stage to continue his show because, of course, he does have a big time crowd. The problem is, though, as soon as he does begin his next show, that is the moment the place does get attacked by some robots that actually do work for Anomaly, because Anomaly's rats saw Cyborg in the crowd. Now, of course, you do have Cyborg basically step in to fight against this robot. And Cyborg, at first, does struggle with this robot. I mean, to make the fight interesting, you do have Cyborg struggle. Now, it's not like this is Cyborg struggling because, the virus is in his system and also he's not fully 100% yet. It's more kind of like just for the story's sake to have Cyborg struggle at first, but then Cyborg is able to actually defeat the robot. The problem is, though, right after he's able to defeat the robot, he's actually grabbed by somebody else. And of course, that is the moment we are greeted by our new villain, our new character, Rat-a-Tack. Or Rat-a-Tack. Yeah, Rat-a-Tack. That's the name. Yes, Rat-a-Tack. I love the name of this character. And don't worry, he is not actually going to stick around. Because as soon as Cyborg and Rat-a-Tack begin to fight, you do have Cyborg basically struggle fighting against this creature. Because again, Cyborg is still kind of not fully repaired yet. The viruses are still in Cyborg's body. On top of that, Rat-a-Tack is a very interesting design that was made by Anomaly, which is hard for Cyborg to figure out how to actually defeat Rat-a-Tack. Now, with that being said, that is the moment Cyborg actually does get some kind of help. And when I say Cyborg does get some kind of help, he actually gets some kind of information that was sent by Sarah. Yes, Sarah, the girl he was dating before he became Cyborg, the same girl who's working at Star Labs. But she was able to send him some kind of data to basically help him defeat Rat-a-Tack. And of course, it actually led into Cyborg being able to actually hack into Rat-a-Tack's system. And with that, he was able to kind of tell the programming of Rat-a-Tack to kind of mutate him into something else, which you have Cyborg tell the program to mutate Rat-a-Tack into just a pile of goo. And so Cyborg was able to actually get rid of both Rat-a-Tack and the other robot that was attacking earlier. Now, the chapter kind of ends with Cyborg kind of getting upset with Xenophon for becoming some kind of underground rapper and everything. But you have Xenophon say, you have to realize though, Cyborg, you were gone for months. I had to make money to live. I couldn't get close to my family. On top of that as well, this is your fault I'm in this mess. You're acting like I chose this life. No. You brought me into this life of being a superhero, this life of fighting against villains. Like, this is your fault. And so you have Cyborg realize, yeah, Xenophon is right. Let me back off and not actually continue to attack the guy. And so Cyborg stops, and you have the two agree to continue to work together to hopefully finally fix Cyborg, but to also finally defeat Anomaly as well. Now, the opening pages of the 4th chapter is kind of a way for us to learn a little bit more of Black Narcissus, and we learn that she actually owns her own company known as Holt Industries. Now, this is not us getting the complete origin of the character. It's just us knowing that she does run a technology company, and of course, her tech company is a way for her to use the tech as a way to be a hero. And so that is how she has the tech she has when she is Black Narcissist. Because thanks to her tech company, she's able to go out into the world and be that hero she wants to be. And so that's kind of like the quick rundown of her origin. I mean, we're going to learn more about her, but to tell you the truth, this is a character who does not really appear much in Marvel Comics. Sorry, DC Comics. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Cyborg talking to Sarah, but not in real life, kind of like in a virtual world that they have created to talk to one another in. Now, with that being said, you do have Sarah tell Cyborg that she was able to figure out that the guy who's going around Star Labs pretending to be Celia Stone is not Celia Stone. Of course, she now knows it is Anomaly. Now, she was able to figure it out because thanks to Variant telling her, hey, you need to watch out for Celia Stone. But either way, you do have Cyborg tell Sarah because she is his only hope to get back inside Star Labs. She needs to help him get back in Star Labs so that Cyborg can catch Anomaly off guard. And of course, you do have Sarah agree. Now, you do have Cyborg and Xenophone talk to one another about their next move, where of course basically means that they're going to have to break into the Star Labs to hopefully catch Anomaly off guard. But while the two characters are talking to one another, well, that is the moment they do get attacked by an unknown explosion. Now, this explosion, of course, is going to bring in a new bad guy. And that new bad guy is actually a character known as Firewire. Yes. You heard that right. His name is Firewire. But either way, you do have Firewire show us that he's basically some kind of ninja that was hired to kill Cyborg. And so that is why he's here, to kill Cyborg. Once again, though, he is a ninja, but a technology ninja, meaning that all his tech is basically helping him be a ninja. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Anomaly. Now, right now, you have Anomaly just continuing to work on his project. But while working on his project, you have the voice in his head begin to talk to him, actually. Now, the voices in his head is telling him that he needs to finish their big project. But on top of that right there, they need to get ready for the return of Cyborg to Star Labs. Because whatever they have cooked up is basically going to bring Cyborg back to Star Labs. And that right there is very important. Now, with that being said, though, of course, we can kind of tell they're possibly talking about Firewire. But getting back to the battle between Cyborg and Firewire, while they're fighting against one another, we kind of find out Cyborg does not stand a chance against Firewire. Because remember, Cyborg is still not 100%. On top of that, Firewire does have some advanced technology that he's using right now with his ninja suit, where apparently he's able to teleport into different kinds of dimensions as a way to throw Cyborg off while they're fighting against one another. But in the middle of their fight, of course, that is the moment where you actually do have someone come in and save Cyborg's life. And that is the moment we come to find out that basically Cyborg was saved by no other than the Black Narcissist. Yes, she's back once again to help Cyborg fight against Firewire. Now, here's the thing though. Firewire and the Black Narcissist, they go way back. But after Black Narcissist is able to save Cyborg and take him out of that other dimension that Firewire had put Cyborg in, that is the moment you have her say, listen, Cyborg, I want to tell you my origin story and also get you help to defeat Firewire. But to kind of help you and explain my origin, we need to go back to my company. And of course, her company is Holt Industries. And this is where we kind of get the complete origin of the character of Black Narcissist. And what happens is that apparently this company used to belong to her husband, and her husband used to make a lot of different great tech for the world. But the problem is though, of course, her husband was kidnapped, and he was kidnapped by no other than Firewire. And Firewire basically kidnapped her husband, torture her husband to get all the secrets to his technology. And once Firewire was able to get all of his tech from Black Narcissist's husband, of course, Firewire killed her husband. And so ever since then, she became a hero for two reasons. One, to get revenge against Firewire, but two, as a way to protect Detroit. Because you do have Cyborg ask her, why are you a hero besides going after Firewire? And of course, she's kind of saying like, listen, we have to protect our own. We have to protect our city. Nobody comes here to protect us. And so somebody had to step up, which is true. Because if you look at the city of Detroit, there's not a lot of heroes who come from Detroit and actually stay in Detroit or protect Detroit in both Marvel and DC. Now, I didn't say there wasn't any. I'm just saying there's not a lot of characters coming from Detroit. And so she's kind of like, yeah, it's just up to me to basically protect this city. And so that's why I became a hero, to defeat Firewire, but to also protect Detroit. Now, the next section is honestly the fight where you have basically Cyborg and Black Narcissist fight against Firewire. Now, this fight is very short-lived, and honestly, it's very disappointing because I feel like if you're going to bring in a new bad guy, at least give the bad guy a chance to kind of show the fans what he could possibly be down the road if another writer could possibly take on the character. And the reason why I say that, because the next fight between Cyborg and Black Narcissist against Firewire is only 2 pages long, and they were actually able to defeat him very easily. And that is why I say I feel like the character was made for no good reason, because he's made for this one chapter and he's never seen again in the rest of the DC Rebirth era. Now, right after the fight, you do have Sarah appear. And remember, Sarah is basically the character who used to date Cyborg before he became Cyborg. But either way, she does appear once again to talk to Cyborg and tell him that Anomaly had disappeared. And with Anomaly missing, of course, that means they have to go find him. And so, of course, you do have Cyborg leave with Sarah and also Xenophone. Now, of course, right after they do leave, that is the moment you do have Black Narcissist actually talk to, of course, Firewire to say, okay, listen, tell me everything you know about Anomaly. And of course, that is the moment you have Firewire say, who in the world is Anomaly? I was hired to kill Xenophone, not Cyborg. Like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And for Black Narcissist, that is a huge red flag. Because if Firewire was not hired by Anomaly to kill Cyborg, then what is Anomaly's next big plan to basically capture Cyborg? And that is the moment you have Black Narcissist realize that basically Anomaly's next big plan is Sarah. He's using Sarah as a way to capture Cyborg. Now, this is where we are going to end today's video. And the reason why I say that is because you do have Cyborg and Sarah and Xenophone arrive back to Star Labs. But when they do arrive back to Star Labs, well, that is the moment they are confronted by Anomaly right after Cyborg sees what Anomaly has been working on, some kind of reactor. Now, that is the moment you have Anomaly tell us that he used Sarah as a way to bring Cyborg back to Star Labs. And the reason why he brought Cyborg back to Star Labs is because that voice in his head told him to bring Cyborg back to this lab, which of course Cyborg did come back to Star Labs. But the problem is, though, now you have Anomaly having the ability to start off his master plan, a singularity, to get rid of the human race, but combine genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics all in one, to get rid of the human race, but the rise of the world of robotics. And that is what Anomaly wants. And the book closes with Sarah and also Xenophone and Cyborg being pulled into some kind of wormhole. And so with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.